Oh, Project Brickit.
I think I may have gotten sticks off that one.
You really caught me off guard there. What a great way to restart the show for this year. How long has
Yes.
it been since we last recorded? Because the last time we had an episode, like our last episode was probably a month or two after our last recording. So, what has it been?
Yeah, the last episode
4 or 5
was
months
New
since
Year's.
we recorded? Project Brickit. It's too long. That's too long.
Oh,
We've been busy, and now we're back.
yes.
Starting off the
And
year.
then we're back.
Yes, ready for
It's March.
the third year, really, isn't it? We had a full year last year, a bit of the year before, and now this is the third year.
Yeah, it's scary that we actually can survive this long.
It's scary, but we're not going to stop. We're just going to keep on going forward motion. We're going to not stop, we're going to motion. We're going to stop motion.
We're going to do the best for you guys.
Yeah.
Make sure you guys get something.
If you haven't picked up my clues, we're talking about stop motion.
Yes, we are.
Welcome to the DeathBrick Show.
Episode 19, 2025.
It is episode 19. Wow. Well, stop motion. It's a topic that we had a few topics and we put them in a random spinning wheel right before starting and pressing record. And that's what it landed on. So now we have... now we have to make an episode on it.
I would love to know how we're going to do that, so that's going to be a work in progress. So you guys get to come join us for that as well. So,
yep. Well, first of all, I think we need to start with a definition of what stop motion is. Allow me to...
well, let's go to the classroom.
Dictionary.
Sticks, take it away.
Stop motion. Noun. A cinematographic... Yes, a cinematographic technique whereby the camera is repeatedly stopped and started. For example, to give animated figures the impression of movement. You got that? You wrote that down?
We were meant to write it down.
Yes, there's going to be a test at the end of the episode, Project Brickit. Well, there we go. Stop motion.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, you get a camera, you take a photo of something, and then you move that something a little bit, and then you take another photo, and then you string all those photos at the end together, and it gives the illusion of that object moving all by itself. And that's what people do for little characters. And that's what I did when I first started YouTube for a few years, is I did Lego animation, which is why it's on this channel, because it's very popular with Lego, isn't it, Project Brickit?
Yes, it is, actually.
Yeah. And the two of us have dabbled in it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm at the moment doing a very interesting series with stop motion.
Yes? Explain that,
Yes.
Project Brickit.
So I said a while ago, if we ever hit 100 subscribers, I would do a stop motion series.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, we surpassed that, so I'm doing every Lego Star Wars set in stop motion, like building it.
Yes.
I may have not liked the idea anymore, considering the Venator and all the UCS sets and.
Yeah. Did you do it for the Venator and stuff, or did you just do it for the smaller ones? And
at the moment, I've done a lot of different ones. I didn't do it for the Venator just because I just wanted to build it.
Insane. Yeah, that's another part of it.
But I know like the Venator would be a 3 to 4 minute stop motion.
Yeah.
Because I think the TIE Interceptor with Fang Fighter got up to 30 seconds, so... It's gonna get up there.
Not too bad. Do you do one photo per piece or one
Per brick.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
And then what's your FPS for that? And for those who
I
go
think
back
it's
home,
set
it's frames per second.
I believe my FPS now for stop motion. I just use my phone. I just use a little app called Stop Motion Studios.
Very
It's
good
within
one.
the name.
Very good one.
It is. It really is. Now,
Highly recommend.
FPS is 5 frames per second.
Okay.
For some sets, it does go up to 7 frames per second.
Yeah. So enough for a building one.
Yeah. But if you're doing like a minifig one, you probably want 11 frames per second.
Oh well, it depends. Also depends on
Yeah.
the style, because some styles, you change the FPS. If you want really, really smooth, then about 25 FPS is pretty standard. If you want extra smooth, then maybe 30. But if you
That's
want
a lot of work.
if you want sort of like a cool sort of ratchety, rough feel, then yeah, a little bit lower is often pretty good. But it's not just about what FPS you use; it's also what you do with those frames.
Yeah, that's so true. He's, as you can see on his channel, he's got a couple of decent stop motions,
Just a couple.
like the Claws series.
Oh yes, that was going to be a whole series, and I had an entire 2 seasons planned. But yeah, then Sticks Kicks came about, and I felt more connected to that. So that's
And now we're here.
Yep. Now we're here. Now we're here. I think the last one, yeah, the Fallen Knight. It's the one with Kylo Ren, and that utilized some more of the techniques. But you can see there's the trailer for episode 2. I think the reason why I stopped halfway through making episode 2 is because my Bluetooth photo clicker stopped working. It was annoying me, and I never got back to it. I still have the set of like the trenches like built. It's currently on my desk collecting a bit of dust. Well, on my stop motion table. So yeah, it's there. It's there.
Now, along with stop motion, doesn't just come like your camera or device. There's also the aspect of lighting, and is whatever you're using clean? Because do you want dust in the photo, or do you want dust out of the photo?
Preferably you want it out.
Yeah.
What some people like to do is, if it's something like a dusty planet or something like Tatooine, they do like to put some sand or something like just sort of a light dusting sort of between the studs to give it a bit of a real feel, which personally I'm not the biggest fan of, but some people like that aesthetic, and I understand why you would like that aesthetic, sort of combining real world with the Lego. But yeah, each to their own, but that is a technique.
What about using Blender, like going from a physical and then putting Blender over the top of it?
Well, at that point it's not stop motion, but
you have a stop motion aspect to it.
It does give off the illusion of stop motion. Like the Lego movie, that looks real, but that's just because it's good quality. But it's all Blender animation, and there was this one guy who did a really amazing who does currently really amazing animations called Owanator Productions. And there was this, I can't remember what it was called, the 313th, that's right. There's 2 episodes that are out of that tale, and the first episode he did with stop motion, and that was really amazing. That was really cool and really well done. And then the second episode he switched over to Blender animation, and he learnt it like from the ground up, from scratch, and did an absolutely amazing job. It's so good, and it's on IMDb and all that as well. It's like, yeah, so can highly recommend watching that if you're into that sort of thing. But yeah, he's one of the go-to people, I reckon, and is a great example of showing the difference between the physical and the computer generated.
Yeah. Now, getting back to something I brought about earlier, lighting, white light,
Yes,
blue light, red
lighting.
light, green light. There's so many tips and tricks for that.
Yes. There is. Are you waiting for me to say what the tips and tricks are?
I mean, if you want, I mean, I have some
You
tips and
do?
tricks of my
Well, you
own
go.
if you
You
want,
go
yeah.
ahead. I want to hear what
Yeah,
you have to
easy.
say.
So now for some of the stop motions, you can use just a regular light that's going to be in a room or something. Now that's going to be a white light. White light's not too bad. It will reflect off some Lego pieces, which may not be good for whatever you're trying to do. So what I normally try and do is not use the light above me because it can also cast a shadow from my person.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I usually
So
stay away from room lights.
yeah. So normally I try and go into a dark room, have a desk lamp or any kind of lamp. Now I have a fancy one that can switch from white
Ooh.
to blue to red to amber, which is really nice.
That's really all your bases that you need right there in terms of colors.
Yeah.
Going for something kind of fancy, but they're the main ones.
Yeah, exactly. And with that, you can create so many cool scenes. But if you don't have something like that, you can use color paper, like clear see-through paper. Put it over a light. Just make sure it's not touching the actual light, otherwise, house fire isn't exactly friendly.
It's also depending on your lights.
Yeah, exactly.
If they do get hot. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as it isn't a metal cowl, it's like maybe a mesh or something that doesn't get hot to touch, then you should be fine. Just if it's a metal one or something that feels very hot when you touch it, I would second guess that one.
Yeah.
But another little trick I like to use, it's not exactly stop motion, but it can be used for it, is use the day, use your environment. If you want something at night and you want it, let's say, out in nature, so you're going through a forest or something, take a base plate, fill in that base plate with natural stuff. It's dark, maybe have a little spotlight or something. Then yeah.
Yeah, that is true. All right. Have you got any more?
Not really. I mean, you can use your light from your phone, but yeah, that's like the main ones.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, yes, I do. It's a little post-op. Yes, I just thought of it. I don't use it too much. It can get advanced. If you know what you're doing with an editing program, so let's say DaVinci Resolve, you can put in what you've done with no light effects, and then you can change the contrast of the colors to match how you want it.
Color grading, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I would recommend you do more or less anyway, unless you're really happy with what you've got. But you can, what you can do, especially with things like night scenes, which is hard to, it's hard to record something in the dark and have it look good quality. So if you record it in light with like really bright lighting so that just by itself it looks like day, but then you can go back with color grading and edit it so that it looks darker and that you can add maybe some blue hues and things like that to make it look maybe cloudy or to make it look like night as well, while still getting that good quality, camera resolution, and it's not all sort of grainy and chunky, just trying to collect whatever light you can with cameras, collect as much light as you can, and then just dim it with your computer. That's sort of I wrote a little list of some basic things, and adjusting levels in editing is one of the things that I wrote. So that's a good little tip for things like that. Or if you don't have any colored lights, of course, you can just add color afterwards.
Yeah, that does work.
The mansplaining.
Yeah, well, like you said, it does. This is a spin a wheel episode.
Yes, yes. All right. I've also got a few other little things about lighting. I think I have a short on my Sticks Kicks channel, which is about lighting a set, which has some points. And there are so many great tutorials as well that I've learned lots of good stuff from on YouTube as well, which goes into more information. But a few little basic things is that try your best to avoid natural light when you're trying to record in a room. So if you're recording in a room and you've got like your desk lamps and stuff like that, try and get rid of any light that you can't control, that you don't want. Like close windows, close blinds, shut doors, everything like that, so that you have full control. Because if it's a sunny day outside and there's light coming through and you're shooting, you'll be there for maybe an hour, maybe more, depending on how much of a grind you are. And if during that time, say a cloud like passes the sun and that makes your room slightly darker for even 10 to 15 minutes or even like 5 minutes, then a few of those frames are going to be darker and that'll make it sort of flashy when you put it all together. So you want to try and keep it consistent so that it's not all flashy and jarring. And another thing as well with color lights is that preferably you want to avoid saturating your set with a red light. So, because with having your set lit up with red, it makes it really hard for your cameras to pick up the light and it makes it look sort of grainy and fuzzy, which is something I learnt with doing my 501st animation many years ago. And it's something I've picked up from film school as well, is that red light, if possible, avoid. If you have it sort of really bright red light, then then that's not so bad. But usually red light makes things a bit too dark, and darkness is hard to capture on cameras. And then third and finally of all, oh goodness, the mansplaining is real. 3-point lighting is a really good concept where you have your backlight, your key light, and your let me pull up a graph. I'm going to add this in the editing. 3-point lighting diagram, not graph, diagram. There we go. You have your backlight, your key light, your fill light. So your fill light is sort of like a big wide light which lights everything up. That would be, say, if you're in a big room, they would be like the room lights, or if you're outside, it would be the sun. And then your key light is what lights up your focus. So if you've got a man standing in the middle, then your key light would be more concentrated and would light up like the man's face. And then the backlight is to get rid of the shadows from the key light. Because if you want your shadows to be from the fill light, like the main light source, then you don't want another shadow from this second light. So you have this third light. This is getting really confusing, but the diagram should help. The third light gets rid of all the unnatural shadows, and that just sort of balances it out so that the fill light looks like it's the only one, but there's these other two that makes your focus a lot more poppy. And that's a really sort of basic and brief sum up for some lighting tips, but this is coming from a very nerdy film student. You're still alive, projectbrickit?
Yes.
Well done.
I have a very full book on stop motion now.
Yes. If you ever need tips,
go to that man.
Yep. Or just YouTube. YouTube is so good for
that too.
tutorials.
Google or
There's so much useful stuff. If you're ever curious, give it a go. Now, what else, Project Brickit, about stop motion?
Ooh. We didn't think this through, did we?
No, we didn't. I always have more tips for different parts of stop motion, but then
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Oh, what part of stop motion would you like to know more about or have some tips on? Imagine you're a little guy and you're trying to do some stop motion and you're like, I could never get this part right.
Scripting. How do you decide where a story goes?
There we go. This is sort of a bit beyond stop motion, but with stop motion, scripting is very important. So scripting will look different for everyone depending on your story, and also depending on how professional you want to be. If you're just doing it like with yourself, then sometimes you don't even need a script depending on how big it is, but I always find it easier to get a script. But if it's just yourself, get a Word document up, start with some dot points for the order of events, and then go to each order of event and describe the scene. So just write down what you're going to be looking at. So say it's like the first scene, and you say, and you write down, we start with looking at the sky, and then we pan down onto a city. And then we cut to a shot of outside of a building, and a man walks out of the door and turns left and walks down the street. And then we cut to another shot of him hopping into the car. And then he says, I'm late, I'm late, I'm late. Things like that. And if you're getting voice actors, then that's when you need to sort of structure it a little bit more. You'd have the character's name, say Bob, and then next to it, you'd have the line, and then you'd highlight the lines for the different voice actors to help with them. And you'd add any emotions. So say with Bob saying, I'm late, I'm late, I'm late, in brackets next to Bob, you'd say in a panicky, puffed out voice, I'm late, I'm late, I'm late. Like that. So it depends who you're sharing your script with. If you're sharing your script with just voice actors, then make sure you add lots of information on there that the voice actors are going to need in order to deliver the performance they need. If you're going to have someone edit it for you, then put information when you're talking about going between the shots of what kind of cuts you'd like, what kind of colors you'd like. Give them the information within the script that they will be looking for. So think about others and who you're going to share the script with when you're writing it. And when it comes to actually writing the story, again, that's up to you. It depends on your story. Again, that brief order of events really helps. And then just slowly expanding it out. And then once you've expanded everything out, go back to the beginning. And if there's anything else you've thought of or changed or been inspired by as you've written something further in the story, maybe you want a reference to the very end of the story at the beginning or something like that, you can add that in. So just keep going through it until it runs smoothly and it makes sense. Show it to people. That's the main thing. Show it to people. Get advice from friends or people that you think will sort of understand or get the vibe you're going for, and try and make it make sense to them and answer their questions in the script so that it can make sense to others, because the story always makes sense to you because you know what's going on. You wrote it. But for others, they might not understand something that to you may seem obvious, so you've got to help audiences understand that. So those are just a few of my little tips. But how about you, Project Brickit? Do you have any thoughts about storytelling or script writing?
Not exactly. I've written a couple of scripts and it's just basic. Like for me, it's just what needs to be done here, who's saying that, done.
Yeah.
How's it look? What's the setting?
Yeah. Really, that's all you need.
Yeah.
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 Exactly. Again, it depends how professional you are and how professional you're going. And for the most part, it doesn't need to be anything too fancy. None of mine were.
Yeah.
Mine was an absolute dog's breakfast when I started with my first stop motions. I don't think I really even had for what of my 501st one didn't even have a script. I just sort of made it up as I went along. And there's nothing wrong with that. Especially since, it was just me. So, I didn't have to worry about anyone else getting confused or anything. It was just me. But yeah.
Yeah.
What else? What else, Project Brickit?
To be honest, I don't actually know. We don't prepare for these.
How about Project Brickit? How about when it comes to building your set, what is being filmed? If you're doing it with Lego, as I imagine, most people here will. Yeah. What? How do you go about building your set and what's actually shown?
Alright, so like if it's the set, like with my series and that, I just do it wherever the piece is being placed. I'm not too fussed about that. But if it's like a story, then you try and do it so it's easy on you. Like, can you get the shot you want? Can you get the camera in there? You don't have to build the entire building. You can just build the front part of it, or a wall, or like do a facade.
Yeah. Can you explain what a facade is for our audience? Because that's quite a fancy word.
Oh yes, it is. So a facade is like mise en scène. It's pretty much just
another fancy word.
So let's say you have a building, a house. You just build the front of the house because that's all you can see. You can't see into the house. You can't see behind the house. So why do you build the behind the house if no one's going to see it?
Only build what you're going to see.
See. Exactly.
And if there is going to be a behind the house, then build that
Then
separately.
build
it doesn't
behind the house.
To be behind the physical house. You can just build a separate thing which is behind the house, and no one will tell. No one will know.
Yeah.
This goes back to very early primitive filmmaking, even when they discovered, like, wait, we can film the inside of this house, like, in another building that isn't actually inside that house, and no one will ever know. Like that's actually a thing that happened. There was this film of a fireman going into a burning house, into a burning building, to save a baby that was like in a cot, and they realized that they could film the outside of the building at one place and film the inside of the building at a completely other place, and just put the two scenes together, and it looks like it's the same place, even though it's not. And at the time, that was revolutionary, but for us now, that's kind of obvious, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think what you said was good as well, with making sure you can get your camera in there. Like, building your set around your camera. Even having your camera turned on, and then building your set around that can sometimes help.
Yes, so then you can see what's in the shot. Yes, that's a good one.
That way you're not sort of moving like your set around once you get your camera out and you're like, oh, that actually sort of gets in the way, or that doesn't really work. It just saves you that hassle.
But
yes, what about some the last point, Project Brickit? Some of your favorite stop motion YouTubers. Who would you recommend to the viewers to learn?
Oh, that's okay. Let me pull up who. Okay, stop motion.
Actually,
I
know.
Alexander Studios.
Oh yeah.
He does some good ones. Brickology. I'm just scrolling through, just trying to figure out who does it and who doesn't. LFP Animations does stop motion, but he also does Blender, which is nice.
Lego Blender, or does he do?
Lego Blender. He's done Godzilla. He's done a couple of other ones.
Yeah, I'm looking through it now. Yeah, those are great.
Just scrolling through. I'm just the Death Stick Dealer.
No, I was thinking in my head, like you've gotta.
Yeah.
I'm not as good as some of these other people.
Trenton.
Hey.
Triton
Oh,
animations. I
that
think
sounds familiar.
he's done Gamma Unit, 345th Regiment, Lego Star Wars: The Mercenary.
Oh yeah.
He's done some good ones.
Yeah, I've seen some of those.
Yeah, that's all the ones I'm subscribed to.
Excellent.
And I watch. What about you, Sticks?
Oh well, probably one guy that I've learned a lot from, and he's a very popular and well-known stop motion animator, is Forest Fire. Forest Fire Productions. He actually did the animation for the Duck song all those years ago. And he... Let me just get him up real quick. Yep, Forest Fire 101 is his full name. But he has done some really amazing stop motion. He's also done some Blender animation, but yeah, he's done lots of bits, some really great ones. There was this really amazing Mandalorian one as well that he did a great behind the scenes for. And yeah, I've learned a lot of stuff from him as well. He's also done some direct collaborations with Lego itself as well, which is great. So there's Forest Fire, there's DeathBrick Productions is another good one as well. He's done lots of great war animations and things like that, as well as again some great behind the scenes. Another one, Top Trooper Productions. He is also really great, and I was a part of his Battle for Survival series as well, which ended about a year ago-ish. But yes, that's a great series. I voice acted my character. I'm in it. Yeah. But no, he's really good. And Fancy Pants Productions, he's really funny. What's the other guy's name? Hold on. I think I know that. Yeah, Jim Jam. That's his name. So Jim Jam Films, Top Trooper Productions, Fancy Pants Animation, Forest Fire 101, JD, and even our very own from the Aussie Lego users, Cheesy Balls. Cheesy Balls is an absolutely amazing stop motion animator. I have seen some of his stuff before, and he's shown me some of his works in progress. And he's also done some animation recently with other things as well, like action figures and stuff like that, even a really cool Hot Wheels one. But no, his effects is really good. He does mostly sort of small clips, but he has done some more full sort of story-based ones as well, which is great. But no, there's so many good ones out there, both with animation quality and also with storytelling. Love him. ISN Owenader Productions, of course, like I said before, he's really good. So yeah, those are some of my personal favorites.
No, yeah. Fair enough. Nice to know I didn't make that.
Hey? Oh well, and you as well, yes.
But something that came up into my mind when you said the Lego, one of the ones did a collaboration with Lego. Doesn't the Lego group do their own stop motions as well?
I'm not sure if they do it or they petition people, because they petitioned Forest Fire, and I think there was also some other animators that they did along with him that they've done some stuff with. Like I remember they did some.
I know they have some under their branding in that, and it's just
because there was when they did the Cullen estate from the latest Twilight.
Animation.
I know that for some of the advertisement they did stop motion animation. I saw some for that. They do that quite often actually. Some of their advertising is just stop motion animation. So I'm not sure if they. I'll give it a Google. See what I can find. Yep. Just play the waiting music. Doing well. Yes, Lego uses stop motion animation, often in photorealistic style, for their advertising, particularly for their movies and other promotional materials. And they are also encouraging fans to create their own stop motion content. For advertising, no, quite a lot of this is saying how they use like Blender to emulate stop motion. But I know that they've been getting more. They've been getting more into the physical stop motion.
Yeah, because they did a behind-the-scenes thingy for it not too long ago.
And again, so did Forest Fire for his. It was like a Star Wars race one that he did for Lego, and they posted it on their channel. And they also got him to film a bit of a behind the scenes as well. That's when Lego was doing some what was it? They were doing some thing where they were getting like content creators to show how they use Lego. So I think Solid Brick Studios did a mock as well, and that was put on Lego. Yeah, that was Daro from
Bad Batch.
And there was another guy that I saw who talked about his his photography, just Lego photography, and showed some behind the scenes and some tips and tricks of how to do that. And they got him to do some photo shoots for some advertising. So yeah, that's really cool to see as well, how Lego is like trying to get directly involved with that in the community.
Yeah. Well, there we have it. Lots of tips and tricks for
so much. So much.
Stop motion.
But the most important thing is just give it a try, be patient, and don't be afraid to learn. Just keep learning every time you go to start a new one.
Exactly.
And you're trying to do something. By all means, give it a go and just sort of like dive into it. But also, always go for help. Help is always such a good thing, whether it's from professionals or just advice or feedback. Yeah, other people.
Yeah,
it's really something that you've got to work together for, lads. I've helped some people with stop motion tips as well, who have done really well, even better than me. So yeah, it's very much a community thing as well. You don't have to put it on YouTube. You can just make it for yourself. That's how I started. It's just for fun. So give it a try. The worst that you can do is get really frustrated with how long it's taking. And when your minifigure can't stand up and it keeps knocking over and over again, and then your phone runs out of charge and then you have to set it up all over again. That's the worst that can happen, Yeah.
Yep.
Inspirational quotes. Yes. Should we close it off, or do you have more?
Yeah. No, that's 40 minutes. It's not a short one.
But it's also not the longest.
Welcome back to...
Yes.
No, probably.
Yes.
Well, thank you everyone for coming back to us after a long little wait.
Yep, a long little wait. That's a good way to put it. It's been long, but it's felt little.
Yeah. And now that we're back, we'll be trying to keep 2 monthly.
We'll be trying our best. I should have a bit more time this year to record and edit.
Maybe.
And Project Brickit has been doing some prowlings and some stalking as well to get more guests on as well.
Oh yes, I have. So there is a couple of people that are in the works to come on this show. Met them at Brickvention 2025. And they said they were more than happy to come on, so we're just waiting to find a time that they're free, we're free, and bada bing, bada boom, you got an episode.
There we go, and that's how we do it. That's how we roll on the DeathBrick show. It's just that easy.
It is.
And it's definitely easy.
No. But so there's more content on the way.
Don't worry.
Now, I would just like to put this out to everyone that watches this. If you have any ideas for a future episode, put it in the comments. We will do it.
We will as well, probably. Unless it's a terrible idea. That's on you.
Yeah. But yeah, we will probably end up doing it if it's a Lego related one. Yeah. Just chuck it in the comments. We'll see it. We'll do it.
The theme of our podcast is Lego, so as long as there's that somewhere in it, then yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you have any questions.
Yeah, just let us know.
Questions that you think would take an entire episode to answer.
Yeah, we can do a Q&A episode or a live Q&A. That would be
a live Q&A. That would be interesting.
Yeah, we could do that. I can work on that.
Or a special.
Yeah, we can do that for the birthday.
This is true.
Yeah. Well, look out for that, everyone.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for staying around and for listening to a bunch of nerds mansplain about
stop motion.
You can clearly tell where the passions lie.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Happy birthday. Happy Easter. It's going to be Easter soon.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
see you in the next one.
Episode idea. Yeah, we'll see you next time.